So it depends on what you want to do as after medical school. So there are many specialties that you can do, and depending on the specialty that you choose, some of them are a little bit more competitive than others. So for example, if you want to become a plastic surgeon or a dermatologist or an ophthalmologist, these three areas are quite competitive. So there are lots of applicants and not all of them match to the program of their choice. However, if you want to become an internal medicine specialist, so if you want to become a family doctor or an internist, then it's not as competitive to get in. Actually, if you want to become a family doctor, because we need so many family doctors, it's there's really no competition. Family medicine residency is 2 years, but it's actually going to be 3 years in the next 2 or 3 years. They're going to change the length of the program. Internal medicine is 4 years. Pediatrics is 4 years, but a lot of other specialties are 5 years. So for example, obstetrics is 5 years, general surgery is 5 years, plastic surgery is 5 years. So it depends on the program.
So what if some student fail the match program?
Actually, our match rate's usually pretty high, 97 to 99%. Most people match. This is because, like I said, we have a lot of spots for family medicine. If they, for example, wanted to be a plastic surgeon, and they also back up their choice with family medicine. So if they don't get into plastic surgery, they can get into family medicine instead. And most people plan like that so that they actually match into something. And also, people don't normally just find, sometimes you do find one thing that you love, and if you don't get into that program, sometimes they do take 1 extra year to gain a little bit more experience and apply again. But most of the time, people don't just love one thing. They love multiple different things and can see themselves happy doing different types of medicine. So most people will plan different things simultaneously. So if they don't get into one thing, they can get to something else. So it's very rare to not match in Canada, actually.
So I just know that the student in Mississauga, he failed, I think 2 years ago, and he killed himself.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. There are a lot of factors involved. I don't know his specific situation, but I have heard of him previously. I believe that he wanted to do ophthalmology, but it was a very competitive program.
Okay.
And medicine is a field where everybody is very competitive. They think that they want the best. They only want the best, and they don't see themselves doing anything less. And it's a combination of that culture where you feel like a failure if you don't get exactly what you want, combined with the fact that you're around people who are exactly like that. So they kind of encourage you to keep trying for something. And also getting to medical school is just, you keep trying, you work really hard. So all of this makes a lot of people feel like a failure when they don't get exactly what they want. And unfortunately, I think that's probably one of the many factors why he unfortunately committed suicide. But it's definitely very unfortunate. Our programs are also very aware of the pressure, and they always encourage us to parallel plan. They always tell us, you don't know what you're gonna love 5 years down the road. You don't know how your life will look 10 years down the road. You love it now, you may not love it 5 years later. So don't focus so much on finding that one specialty, because you change, the times change, people change, and you just never know. And again, you could still love the same thing for the rest of your life. I think it's better to be a more mature student going to medical school. Then you have more perspectives about life than being a younger student who has never worked before, so that they think that this is their entire world. And I think that's maybe also the unfortunate part for that student, because I think he was a very intelligent, bright individual who studied very hard, but unfortunately never had the opportunity to work in the real life and find other things that might be more important than that one specific specialty. I think it's a combination of both nature and nurture. So I think my personality has always been somebody who works very hard and who does not give up. I remember my mom always tells me that when I was younger, maybe I was 8 or something, I was jumping rope with a friend of mine, and I think he jumped maybe 97 times without kind of touching the string, and I had to jump 90, like one than him, and I stopped and I almost died. So my mom said that I've always been that kind of person, and she doesn't know why I'm like that. And also there is the nurture part. My mom herself, I look up to her tremendously because she has always been somebody who has the most amount of perseverance I've ever seen. She always works so hard. She never gives up, even when things are very, very difficult. So I see that in her, and she encourages me to keep trying. And the combination of both really helped me to become the person that I am. Ontario, at least, it is $25,000 for tuition per year of medical school. When you have that acceptance letter from any Canadian medical school, you can go to any bank and they will line up to lend you money.
Oh, really?
They know that you will definitely pay it back. Nobody quits medical school in Canada. It's so hard to get in, and they only accept people that don't quit. So they know that you have the potential to pay them back, and then obviously they make money from interest from you, but also because you will need to borrow money again from them for your own clinic. When you invest in your clinic, when you invest in your own medical things as a physician, so they actually end up making a lot of money from you. So there's no really worries about finances because you will have $350,000 from any major bank in Canada for medical school. So they're actually for the 4 years of medical training, and normally it's more than you need. A lot of my classmates, they're all very intelligent people. Some of them invest the money in real estate. They invest the money in stocks, and they think that they make more money investing this money. So it's the lowest interest rate than anything, really, except for mortgage. Mortgage is lower interest rate. So finances isn't very concerning. You don't have to worry about relying on your family. You can still apply for OSAP, and OSAP will give you some money. There are also bursaries and scholarships that some people do get based on financial need. And sometimes we do have awards, but not that many in medical school.
Okay.
A lot of opportunities to get financial support for medical school, and usually people are not too concerned because they know that even though you need to spend quite a bit of money going through medical school, you will be able to make the money back very quickly once you graduate. For me personally, I actually never quit my job when I started medical school, so I'm still working as a psychological associate
Part-time?
and I actually didn't need to use my loans at all.
Wow.
I am able to pay for my tuition, I can pay for everything with just working part-time, which is actually really fortunate for me. But I don't think most people are doing that, but most people use their line of credit from one of the major banks in Canada. So I've always been the type of person that the busier I get, the more productive I get. So I like to keep myself busy so that I do things quickly and more efficiently. So currently I'm in third year of medical school, and it's very busy in third year medical school because we are what's called a medical clerk in the hospital. So we actually work every single day in the hospital. Right now I'm in my obstetrics and gynecology rotation. So in the morning, I usually wake up around 4 in the morning, and then I would work out, so do an exercise on my Peloton, and I would get to the hospital for usually 5:30 a.m. and then I would round on my patients who just had surgery the day before to make sure they're okay. And then usually that takes approximately anywhere from 1 hour to 2 hours. And then normally by 8 a.m. I have to go to the operation room and assist in surgeries of the day. So it's quite a long day, and sometimes I don't get to eat lunch. I don't even get to drink water if I'm in the operation room all day long. And normally my day ends around 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. And when I get home, I make dinner and then I work. And then I go to bed around 10 p.m. So I actually am not, you have to be nonstop to be able to manage all of that.
Have you ever encounter any difficult moment or hardship?
Maybe this current rotation in obstetrics and gynecology, I would say that medical school is not that hard. Getting into medical school was definitely one of the hardest things that I had to do. I actually applied to medical school 4 times in total, and every time it's more difficult because it comes with a lot of anxiety, it comes with a lot of heartache, and just the fact that I could be disappointed again, it's very difficult. So I do think that getting to medical school was the biggest obstacle I ever had to overcome. And once I got in medical school, I realized that, first of all, I always thought that I was too dumb to be a doctor, and that's why I didn't get accepted. But now that I do well on my exams, I do better than a lot of people in my class who get in first try. I realize there's a lot of luck involved, unfortunately, in medical school. It depends on who interviews you, who looks at your file, because it's different people every single time for every single interview session. So there's a lot of luck involved. And sometimes they may not have had sleep because we have calls, 24-hour of calls. So you don't sleep at all for 24 hours. And then you look at someone's file. If you're in a bad mood, you may not like what they write. So there's a lot of luck involved. And I realized I didn't get in, not because I wasn't the best candidate. There's just a lot of combination of factors. So now I do feel really appreciative that I didn't get in all these years, because then I got to develop another part of me that I really love and enjoy, which is the psychology work that I do. I really love the work, and it really made me a more mature and well-rounded person, where I'm a trainee in the hospital, and I have to go to work every single day in the hospital. I have found that also quite challenging. Currently in my obstetrics rotation, people are they're very tired because people give birth at all times of the day. So I have 24-hour calls, which means that I don't get to sleep for 24 hours. And I get there for 6 a.m. and then I start helping to deliver babies, help with C-sections, assess patients. It's constant. I'm running around the hospital. I'm standing in the operation room. I don't get to sit sometimes the whole 24 hours. And the next day, my legs, I can't even feel them anymore. So I definitely feel that it's really challenging to be in medical school, and it only gets worse actually, because when you do residency you have more responsibilities. You are then already a medical doctor, so I realize that it only gets harder, unfortunately, from here. So if you ever get into medical school, the first 2 years are the best.
But how do you deal with those mental stress?
So one of my best way to deal with stress is exercise. I love my Peloton, so it's convenient. It's in my house. I don't have to go anywhere to work to exercise. I always, even if I have to go to the hospital at 5:30 a.m., I will wake up at 3 a.m. just so I can exercise. This is the one thing I do for myself to de-stress. And after I've worked out, I feel more productive throughout the day and I feel happier. And so recently I had a really bad shift where I was so tired, and there were a lot of complications in the operation room with my patients. Sometimes one of my patients lost a lot of blood, just a lot of stressful situation. When I got home, I felt really defeated and sad, and I did an exercise and I felt much better. So that's how I de-stress. Everyone does something different.